Historical context. The Book of Esther takes place in Susa, one of the capitals of the vast Persian Empire, ruled by King Xerxes I. After Queen Vashti disobeys the king, she is banished, and a search for a new queen begins. Introduction of Esther and Mordecai. Esther, a Jewish orphan, is chosen as the new queen of Persia. But her Jewish identity is kept secret. Her cousin Mordecai works in the palace and discovers a plot to assassinate the king, which he foils. Rise of Haman. Haman, a high-ranking official in the Persian court, becomes enraged when Mordecai refuses to bow down to him. In his anger, Haman convinces King Xerxes to issue a decree to annihilate all Jews in the empire. The date for this massacre is chosen by casting lots. Hence the name of the Jewish festival derived from this story, Purim. Esther's Courage. Mordecai informs Esther of the decree, urging her to go before the king and plead for the lives of her people. Esther is initially hesitant because approaching the king without being summoned could result in her death. Esther is initially hesitant because approaching the king without being summoned could result in her death. Mordecai encourages her, stating that perhaps she was made queen for such a time as this. Esther's Banquet. Esther decides to approach the king. She invites him and Haman to a banquet where, instead of revealing her request immediately, she invites them to another banquet the next day. During this time, Haman plans to have Mordecai hanged on gallows he had prepared. Haman's downfall. That night, the king has trouble sleeping and orders the court records to be read to him. He discovers that Mordecai had exposed a plot to assassinate him, but he was never rewarded. The next day, Haman enters the king's court to request permission to hang Mordecai. Before he can speak, the king asks him how to honor someone. Thinking the king is referring to him, Haman suggests a grand display of honor. To Haman's horror, the king instructs him to bestow these honors upon Mordecai. The triumph of Mordecai and Esther. During the second banquet, Esther reveals her Jewish heritage and exposes Haman's plot to the king. In a twist of fate, Haman is hanged on the very gallows he had prepared for Mordecai. The king issues a new decree allowing the Jews to defend themselves against their enemies. On the appointed day, the Jews successfully defend themselves against those who sought to harm them. Conclusion and establishment of Purim. The Jews celebrate their deliverance with joy and feasting. Mordecai becomes a prominent figure in the king's court, and a new decree is issued to commemorate these events. The festival of Purim is established, celebrating the salvation of the Jewish people from destruction.